Ready? Ready for more? Okay, can we do the attention test? Can you pay attention? Good girl. Oh, caught you. Caught you. Sit. Good girl. Ready? One more. Big treat, big treat, big treat. Sit. Smell that. Smell that. Good girl. Gotcha. Ready? Ready? There's more. There's more. Ready? Good girl. You come to me. So a lot of the usual stuff, as you can see, we're still training dogs on Fridays. And that's Willow, by the way, who's a very smart dog, a lot of energy. But once you get her to focus, that's the cool thing about, I guess, those hyperactive, so-called difficult dogs is that they're actually usually quite bright. So Willow, Sacramento County Animal Shelter, in case anyone's interested. And that's cardio. A lot of my cardio has been walking, 3D Muscle Journey meetings, where we talk about, how to, I guess, train people, not necessarily dogs, but how to train people in much more efficient ways. So that was a great meeting, by the way. And of course, we've been thinning the skin without tilapia. Skin wasn't always thin. So this is what happens when I take ibuprofen. I found this out right before my guest posing. So it looks like I had edema, like I overcarbed, and not just overcarbed. I mean, for me, I've never had edema after any post-show celebration. So that was quite the experience. That was the day after, about 70% clear, but now I know. So from now on, I know that I can't take ibuprofen the days leading into a show, and I don't usually take much meds. So it was good to know just in case, even though I really doubt that I'm going to need any the day before a bodybuilding show, since peak week we do train, but not that hard. So yeah, we got back to thinning the skin. The edema eventually cleared, and it was the same old usual stuff. And one thing I want to do is kind of give you guys a brief overview of how this contest prep has been and what future plans are after these next few weeks. So it's really easy to just sit back and talk behind footage, I feel sometimes, and it's not quite as transparent as having a camera on me and having me kind of spill the beans. So I definitely want to take the time and do that at the end of this video. But before we get into that, I just really want to make it clear that training has been going really well. I've been using the high bar squat variation for my squatting because it lets me stay more upright. And as your waist disappears when you are dieting, that's if anything, it's been easier to hold on to my squat with a high bar squat. Whereas not that you can stay upright with a low bar squat, but there is a slight difference in the angle of your torso, and especially for me, where one of the things that make me a decent bodybuilder is the fact that I don't have much hips or girth down there. By down there I mean the waist. I really feel it when I lose an inch or two off my waist. So the high bar squat it is, and if anything, it's really come into its own these last few weeks. So I really think that's probably the variation I will be using at USAPL Nationals. Same thing with the bench press. I've had a lot of epiphanies when it comes to my form, so I'm very confident that I will be able to if anything, I think on all lifts, but especially on the bench, I'm going to be able to press more at 160 pounds than what I was able to do at 170 pounds in the beginning, or in about the halfway point of this contest prep. So very optimistic about my performance, or my potential performance in a few weeks. And of course, on the bodybuilding front, things are going pretty good. I think one thing I did differently this time is I got deeper into my contest prep. I continued to maintain a lot of the volume on my body parts that aren't necessarily very gifted, and then I just kind of subtracted from things that tend to stick around. So my quads stick around, those don't really ever go anywhere. Same thing with, I guess you could say, my delts and a few other segments of myself, but arms will go away. So I made sure to, keep a lot of my off-season volume intact when it comes to those body parts, and it's been paying off. So yeah, I would say things are going really well. I am performing, I'd say pretty good, all things considered, on my big three. I think at the meet I will be closer to 1,300 than 1,200, which potentially means I can get very close to an elite total in the 163s, and that's what I'm weighing. I'm weighing about anywhere from 160 to 162 pounds on a bad day, so making weight will not be an issue. So powerlifting, everything's going well. Biggest meet of my life coming up. And when it comes to the bodybuilding aspect of things, same goes there. I think I've been able to maintain a lot of my lean body mass during this contest prep. And, of course, there's always things that, looking back now in hindsight, I'm like, well, I could have done a bit better during this contest prep. But, that's always easy to say afterwards. However, one of the things about being so, I guess, type A about certain details is the fact that you have a long list at the end of a prep of things that didn't go right and things you can work on, and that's what I'm going to talk with you guys about in a minute here. But the basic stuff, it's all been going really well and according to plan. Last contest prep, we had a few more of these intimate moments where we were face to face and talking about a host of subjects. And this year I've been talking over footage a bit more, and I noticed that it's kind of a protective cocoon. It's a lot easier to be less transparent because you can't see my face, my body language, a host of things. So I wanted to take the time to really just address a few big topics. And I think the main one is going to be, what happens after July. So as some of you might know, I have the IFPA Pro USA. That's basically the pro portion of the now very well-known Muscle Mayhem that we have out here in California. So there's an amateur portion to that show and the pro portion. That's the IFPA Pro USA is a pro portion. And then a few days later, flying out to Colorado for USA PL Nationals, and I'm going to have the privilege of being dunked on by some really, really good powerlifters, and just being out there with those guys is a total privilege to me. So not projected to place very high when it comes to that, but I do respect what those guys do, and will do my best to contribute to some of the day's just awesome performances. I'm sure there's going to be just just a host of athletes that I guess are going to make me feel like I don't even lift. So we have that coming up, and then a few pretty cool hikes. Have nothing to do with bodybuilding, but it's one of my hobbies, the great outdoors. And then after that, I was really prepared to shut down my season. And after guest posing with Jeff, it went both ways. I'm like, okay, well, I can say I got on stage with a really good friend of mine, and we did our thing, and that's a memory that no one's going to be able to take away from us. Swollen ankles and all, I had a great time. Swollen body, it just looked like a mess. But anyhow, I think that kind of definitely made me feel like I got to compete, or at least get up there with Jeff, and we did our thing. And then also it kind of made me think, well, I also would like to do this a few more times. So we'll see. And I guess it brings me up to my next topic, and how I perceive my competitive bodybuilding at this time. I think, if you would have told me back in, say, 2008 when I first won my pro card, I would have told you that I was thirsty to, at some point, as out there as this may seem, be a world champion. And I love to compete, and I'm a very competitive person, much more than I think many of you guys would think. But one thing about bodybuilding, and especially as I've done more and more powerlifting meets, is the fact that more powerlifting meets and bodybuilding competitions. With powerlifting, I feel like I'm an actual athlete. Like, if I got my butt whooped, it's because you didn't lift it, dude. And then when it comes to bodybuilding, it's one of those things where, again, it's a subjective sport, which can be frustrating in its own way. But I am my own worst critic. So the toughest judge to please is going to be this guy. And to tell you the truth, I earned my first pro victory this year, and I felt really good after the prejudging. I felt like, hey, there was a good chance that I could very well take this show, but I didn't really care. What I wanted more than anything is I wanted to see pictures, and I wanted to see Melissa's face, my girlfriend's face, and see if see what her face told me in terms of like, hey, you did well, you look great, and then see the pictures to see if I improved or not. And once I saw the pictures, and I'm like, wow, I'm doing really well there, and I think I made all the improvements I wanted during my off season. I felt like I could have almost have gone home at that point. It would have been bad sportsmanship, but I mean, that's how I felt. So I think more than ever, at least right now, and again, sometimes when you're prepping, you have these impulse lizard brain thoughts, but the stage just isn't what it used to be for me. It's more than ever, it's just the whole lifting thing is super internal, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I think if bodybuilding for some reason was just outlawed, you guys with your baby oil and shaved bodies, it's weird, stop that now, it's illegal, we can't do it. I think I would still diet myself down to about this kind of shape every few years in order to see what kind of improvements I have made. The most extreme of body composition manipulation. As low of fat as possible while maintaining as high a muscle, maintaining as much of your muscle as possible. I would still strive for that. I think just because being able to control those things and seeing yourself in that extreme state is pretty cool. But yeah, I think more than ever, because it's very internal. After this season, whether I decide to continue it after July, or just end it there, I think I would not be surprised if I took a 3, 4, 5-year hiatus from competing, and that's what I'm saying now. But again, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I enjoy the off season, and I think anyone can be very disciplined when they have a deadline. So I think the real discipline is in the off season. Personally, I think, to me, anyways, and this is probably the best way to put it is, or the best way I have, the best way I can put it, anyways. I feel that the off season is like your investment period, where you're racking up your coin, and then the contest prep is basically the treat to yourself. Where you get to spend and see all that hard work that you put together over the course of many months, and in the cases of many folks nowadays, many years. I think that's what your contest prep is. So yeah, I think that's where I'm heading, because I think while I still have my powerlifting, that kind of, I guess, takes up that competitive side of me. It feeds that portion, the athlete that will always be there, and then the bodybuilding, I think more than ever is really for me, and it's my own personal meditation time. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I guess that's where my mindset is when it comes to competing as a bodybuilder. And it's funny, I say this 1 week out from my next show, so I don't know how you guys are going to feel about that, but I wanted to be very honest. And one thing I did want to say before I go is, when I started this contest prep, I think part of the reason that I started dieting for shows was because I think as someone who coaches athletes, you should practice what you preach. And I wanted to, in a way, I don't know if this is a healthy way of thinking about it, but I wanted to prove to you guys that, hey, I practice what I preach. I make improvements, and then I diet down, and I somehow, in some capacity, put out a product that was better than last time's product. Because You know, if you can do that with your, your own physique, then that's saying a lot. And I felt like there was a lot of pressure, and I felt that I think initially I was a little scared to get that started. There was definitely a lot of fear there. What if I didn't do it? But I must say that throughout this whole prep, the kindness I have received from strangers and I guess supporters has been nothing but awesome. So thank you very much, guys. I think I am just in awesome times of all the support and kind words and just positive energy and encouragement. It's been sent my way throughout this whole process. So I'll leave it there. Today is Saturday, July 5th, and my show's on the 12th, and then I think I'm lifting on the 17th. So we have a busy schedule coming up, but I will make sure to get all that stuff, a lot of footage, and share that with you guys. Because, like I said, you guys have been wonderful, and you guys seem to appreciate this. So thank you.